This is going to be a tutorial on some of the basic movement in Hero Story for each of the characters. This movement tech also does apply to the Dark Story characters. So, if you're learning a Dark Story, same deal, same inputs, maybe a bit of a different animation or name for the attack, but other than that, it's the same. So, first we're going to go into Crazy Gadget. What we're going to cover first is spin dashing. When you spin dash, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to listen. Hear that? How the spin dash goes up in pitch? Once it reaches its top pitch, that means that you're fully charged. So it's usually like, a third of a second or so. So when I spin dash, you notice that I actually decelerate really quickly. We do something to prevent this known as spin dash shaming. So I charge a spin dash, then I cancel it, which is just pressing the action button again. Charge another one, let it go, and I repeat this process over and over for as long as I need to. The next thing I'm going to cover is a spin dash jump. So a spin dash jump is you spin dash, and once you let go, you jump. You hold the jump to get more distance, and this can help you make certain jumps that you may not be able to otherwise make. Another thing to mention is spin dash hovers, which Sonic will die when I do this, but it'll be a good execution, a good demonstration of what it is. So you spin dash, and you'll hold A during the spin dash, and then you let go of the spin dash. This uses your hover frames during the spin dash, which allows you to cross certain gaps rather quickly. So now I'm going to show off homing attacks and homing attack cancels. Homing attack is pretty simple. You homing attack. Bam. In some cases, you might want to do this just in the ground or whatever. There are very specific cases where you'll want to be doing this into the ground, but for most of the time, you'll be doing it into enemies. Something to mention about this. You want to hold towards the enemy to actually aim towards it properly. Otherwise, your homing attack will not work properly. You see people, spin around enemies? Now, there are actually pretty simple solutions to that as well. Just kind of like hold towards the enemy and you'll probably hit it. Now, another thing to mention, homing attack cancels. Homing attack cancel. Just like that. What I'm doing is I'm homing attacking, and then I'm pressing an action button. This cancels the homing attack, which basically is comparable to like an air dash in one of the more modern games. What this does is it allows you to, your speed depletes a little bit slower than it would on a normal homing attack. It also allows you not to home into certain enemies as you were to approach them. So it can be rather useful. Although, do keep in mind, if you're too close to an enemy, when you homing attack cancel, you will home into it, and you will get hurt. So that is something to keep in mind when you're doing that. I think that's just about all of the basic movement tech Sonic. So let's move on to Tails. Alright, basic movement tech for Tails. I'll be entering a few stages to show all this different stuff off, but first we've got Hidden Base. This stage has a lot of hover jumps. Now, what's a hover jump, you might be asking? A hover jump is not just a jump and then a hover, it's a jump and then a hover immediately, as soon as you can. So it's a really quick double tap. That allows you to get a bit of extra distance and make places like up here. Now, there is actually a different variation on this, known as a pause hover, in which you jump and press the pause button, then you pause and then press A. If you're not good at the first method, you can do these, but it is good to be good at both. So those are two of the things to keep in mind with Tails, but those only apply in Mission Street and afterwards. But I will be showing off in Prison Lane one of the most important things about Tails movement, actually the most important thing, jumping around sharp corners. There. What I did just there probably saved me about a second over not doing it, maybe even more. When Tails takes a sharp corner, he loses a ton of momentum. This is bad. Tails is all about maintaining momentum, not necessarily gaining it. As you saw there, I lost just about all of my momentum because I couldn't make the turn sharply. Jumping, although being a little bit slower than normal movement, is much less of a sacrifice than taking the sharp turn. So yeah, that's all of the basic Tails movement things. I'll be moving on to Knuckles. The first thing I'll be covering is pretty much the only, the first bit of tech, I guess. That's called a punch excel. What that is that I hover, and then I punch. I glide, and then I punch when I land. What this does is it puts me at near max speed very, very quickly, and this is rather important. There is a variation of this that you can do, but I'll be covering that, I guess, in the advanced movement tutorial, because if you're just starting out, it's probably just more simple to just do this. So, that's basically Knuckles. And that's it. That's all of the basic movement stuff. The next video, I will be covering how to play City Escape, if you're a beginner at the game, especially for the speedrun. So, well then.